Ladies and gents, my fellow advocates, I come before you at this time, and from the last time that we connected, I had some homework for you. I encouraged you, I inspired you, and I asked you to create a habits scorecard for yourself. So, my question to you is, have you created a habit scorecard? I know I did. I've made sure that since I'm giving you all homework and since I put out their requests, I decided to do the habit scorecard myself. And what I would like to do at this moment of time is to share with you before I get into the video, before I get into this video's topic of discussion. I want to share with you some of the things that I put on my habits scorecard. Now, the habit scorecard basically is what we want to do with that. We talked about it in the previous video. What we want to do is we want to make a list of our current habits. And then from there, we want to identify those habits, whether they are good, effective habits, or if they are bad, ineffective habits, or if they're somewhere in the middle, if they're neutral, if they're in between. That is the assignment. That was the purpose of creating a habit scorecard. So now, let me share with you some of my habits that I am currently engaging in, that I am implementing into my life. I'm not going to share with you all my habits, but I'm going to share with you some key habits. So one of the habits that I put down on my scorecard was I do a morning stretch. I incorporate stretching into my morning routine. Now, some people may refer to these type of stretches that I do in the morning as ballistic stretching. And it's not necessary. It's like stretching where it is loosening up the body, right? Because, we've been laying in the bed throughout the night. We've been asleep for several hours. And it is ideal for us to get up in the morning and just kind of loosen up, right? Because we've been moving around or whatever in the bed. So I made it a point to incorporate ballistic stretching into my morning routine. And from there, I work out. Yes, y'all, I'm so proud of myself because I am at a point where I feel like that working out in the morning is one of my current habits, right? So I stretch first, I do my ballistic stretching, and then I work out. So those are two habits. Those are two of my current habits that I put on my scorecard. Another habit that I put on my scorecard is planning my day. So with that, what I do is, I write down my tasks that I have to perform for the day, right? That's what I do. I put down my tasks that I have to perform for the day. And from there, every time I do a task, I just check it off. That's what I do. I just check it off, right? So planning my day. Now, sometimes I plan my day in the morning, and sometimes I plan my day in the evening. So usually I do it in the evening. But for whatever reason, if I don't do it in the evening, then I do it in the morning. So a lot of times before I go to bed, there are a few things that I do. And one of those things is I plan for the next day. So I'll write down the tasks that I have to do, right? But for whatever reason, as I mentioned, if I don't get it to that night, then I will do it in the morning. And a lot of times I will do it before I work out, before I do my stretches. So planning my day. So far, I haven't shared this with you. So far, those three habits, I identified them as positive, good, effective habits. Because what it is that it is aligned with the person that I'm trying to become, the person that I want to be. So it's aligned with that. So stretching, working out, planning my day, so far so good, right? Now I have some neutral habits that I put on here. For example, YouTube. Now I put YouTube on there because it's sort of a neutral habit. It could be effective, it could be ineffective because a lot of times I may watch some stuff that doesn't align with the person that I'm trying to become. But I feel like for the most part, I am tuning into YouTube. I'm watching inspirational videos. I'm watching instructional videos. I feel like I'm watching videos that really align with the individual that I'm trying to become. So that's sort of a neutral habit. I'm working on it, y'all. I'm working on it to the point where I can solidify it as an effective habit. Another habit that is an effective habit for me is eating one meal a day. Shout out to my bro. Shout out to my bro T Dub Tavio, man. He really just he planted that seed in me. He shared with me that one of the things he's one of the healthiest guys that I know, and he has contributed his health and wellness in regards to where he is that he eats one meal a day. So that's something that I'm working on. So one of the things I did put on my scorecard is eating my first meal. Now with that, I try to eat no more than 2 meals a day. But I'm working on it, bro. Trust and believe I'm working on it, bro. But I definitely eat at least 1 meal a day, right? And I eat a second meal, as I mentioned before. I eat 2 meals max a day. And in between time, I'm snacking, right? So I'm snacking as well. And actually, I put snacking on my habit scorecard. I put that as a neutral habit. Why I put that as a neutral habit is because my snacking includes everything that I pretty much consume in regards to food and beverage. Now, although when it comes to snacking, I snack on my fruits. I love my blueberries. That's one of my jams. Usually that's one of the first things that I consume in the morning are blueberries. As far as beverages, I'm on my pomegranate juice. That's one of my jams. That's something that I love consuming in regards to beverage. Drinking water. That's one of the things that I include in snacking. Snacking on other fruits, snacking on other, veggies. I'm into beets, all that good stuff. Now, while I snack on those things, I also snack on some things that I shouldn't be snacking on. I also be snacking on chips. I also be snacking on cookies and, that type of thing, candy, that type of thing. So that's why I put that on my scorecard as a neutral habit. Again, that's something that I'm working on. That's a continued work in progress. So let's go to some of these negative habits that I have, these ineffective habits that I have on my scorecard. For one, checking out social media upon waking up. And I put that as a negative habit because it's a habit. Because a lot of times I'll get up and I'll grab my phone. And, while I'm checking to see if anybody called me or if I got some messages, I may peek at my emails, but I also kind of sneak over there to social media, right? Hey, I'm telling it like it TI is. That's what I do, right? I'm letting you know this is what I do. And it's to the point where it has become a habit. Now, why is it a negative, ineffective habit? It's because a lot of times when I get on social media upon waking up, it's not leading to any productivity. I'm just doing mindless scrolling. I'm going down that rabbit hole, and before I know it, 30 minutes have passed. And I could have been doing something else within those 30 minutes. Really, really, I could have. I could be doing something within those 30 minutes. I could have started my workout sooner. As I mentioned before, yes, I work out in the morning. Usually one of the first things that I wake up are, a few minutes or so after I wake up. But a lot of times I'll get on social media and kind of get lost in the sauce. And as I mentioned before, I could have started my workout sooner. I could have started my stretch routine sooner. But instead, I got caught up on social media. Something that I'm working on, right? And along with that, another habit that I put on there that is negative is scrolling the internet. A lot of times when I get on the internet, it's like I get on the internet and I want to do something like work on my content or I want to check out a YouTube video. But first, a lot of times before I do that, first thing I got to do is just check out the internet, check out social media, see what's going on. And again, I mentioned those productive things like working on my content. I could have been doing that instead of scrolling the internet. So that's another bad habit that I had, bad habit or effective habit that I put on my habit scorecard. Now, after doing this habit scorecard, I feel like the lesson. What did I learn from my habit scorecard? First and foremost, it was very challenging doing this. It really was. I didn't think it would be this challenging because I had to be real with myself. I had to be truthful with myself because I put the habits that I was truly engaged in, that I truly implemented into my life. I had to put those down. Although I had some good, positive, effective habits, I had some bad, negative, ineffective habits on that as well that I need to work on. I had to be real with myself, y'all. Point blank, period. I had to be real with myself. And I say that because I look at some of my current habits that I'm not too proud of. I'll be real with you. I'm not proud of some of these negative habits. And on the other hand, I also have desired habits. I have habits of, I have a desired habit of wanting to write more. You feel me? That includes journaling. Now, a while back, I had set a goal for myself that I wanted to make journaling a habit. And I haven't done that as of yet. And as I look at my scorecard, and we're going to talk about this, I don't want to go too far into the video. We're going to talk about this in just a moment. But I definitely want to include journaling into my habit, an effective habit. I want to include that into my daily routine, as I was trying to say. So, writing, which includes journaling, and also, did you notice anything that I didn't mention that was on my habit scorecard? Now, there were some habits on here that I didn't mention, but I feel like if I had this on my habit scorecard, I would have mentioned it. And that is working on my podcast, working on my content creating. I did not put that on my habit scorecard because I felt like that I'm not consistent enough in doing that. And that was the challenging part about it, because when I was writing down my habits, and I was just writing them down, and I was just really thinking about the things that I do on a consistent basis, on a daily basis. And I looked and I said, you know what? I didn't put my podcast on there. And that's when I realized, and I said to myself, it's because I don't work on it as consistent as I should. Now, I feel like I do a fairly good job with working on my podcast, but I feel like I can do much better. Once again, I had to be real with myself. And I just told myself, I am not working on my podcast. I am not working on my content creating on a daily basis. And I could be doing that. So that was a challenging part about it. I had to really just identify my true habits versus my desired habits that have not yet become a habit, if that makes any sense. So that is my habit scorecard. Let me know what you think about it. Feel free to leave a comment below. So now, let's get into this video. Let's get into what we are going to talk about. We're going to tap into chapter 5 of the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Again, if you haven't had the opportunity, I would definitely encourage you to check out the previous episodes, the previous videos within the series, Our Habitual Ways, where we are breaking down the book Atomic Habits chapter for chapter, one chapter at a time. We breaking it down. I'm giving you my personal takeaways from it. So be sure to check out the previous videos. So now, as I was saying, chapter 5, we are at chapter 5. And in chapter 5 of the book Atomic Habits, James Clear, he talks about two concepts, two ways to create new habits, because that's what we want to do, right? As who we are in our life, in our journey. We have desired habits, as I brought up to you. We have desired habits that we want to implement into our life, into our journey. So if you are having a hard time, if you're having a challenge implementing new habits into your journey that you have a desire to, if you feel like if you implement these habits, it has the potential, it has the chance to bring you prosperity. It has the chance of getting you to that next level in your journey, in your life. it has a chance to create the best version of you. Well, James Clear talks about two ways, and I definitely want to share with you two ways to create new habits. The first way that he came up with is this concept called implementation intention. And according to James Clear, the definition of implementation intention is a plan you make beforehand about when and where to act, how you intend to implement a particular habit. Now, implementation intention is all about setting off the cues. We talked about cues. James Clear talks about cues in his book, and we talked about that in previous episodes in this series. Cues, if you remember cues, these are things that sets off our habits. So cues can trigger a habit, which comes in a wide range of forms. Now, the most common cues when it comes to implementation intention is time and location. So let me kind of break this down, how this exactly works when it comes to implementation intention. Now, when you are trying to implement a habit into your journey, into your life, the way to go by it, the way to go about it in regards to implementation intention is to put a timestamp on it and put a location on it. Let me use the example of reading. If you have a desire to implement the habit of reading more in your life, which is a great habit because we have reasons as to why we want to read more. If we want to expand our vocabulary, if we want to, just build our mindset, that type of thing. So reading is a great habit to take on. So how you would apply the concept of implementation intention in regards to wanting to read more, you can say, hey, I'm going to read my book 6 o'clock in the evening in my home office. If you have a home office or if you have a space in your house where you can read your book, so that's an example. I'm going to read my book. I'm going to read a book 6 o'clock in the evening in my home office, in my living space, in my bedroom, wherever you feel comfortable, right? That's how you set up a habit using the concept of implementation intention. So that's what it's all about. I would also say that in regards to these two particular concepts I'm going to share with you, including implementation intention, is that particular concept actually aligns with common human behavior. Setting a time and location in order for you to set up a habit for you to implement into your life, into your journey. Let's use making appointments, for example. If you're making a doctor's appointment, what do? You'll call the doctor's office, you'll talk to the nurse, or you'll talk to anyone who is setting your appointment. So they tell you, okay, so you got, a doctor visit on this date at this time, right? So let's say, my colonoscopy, I had my colonoscopy done on July the 3rd. So that, for example, so I had to, set that up where, my colonoscopy, doing it July 3rd at 10 a.m. at Memorial Hermann Hospital. Just like that, right? So, we make appointments. We make doctor appointments. Also, if you are a person who make appointments to meet up with clients, to meet up with coworkers, to meet up with business partners, same thing. You're making an appointment. Say you're going to make an appointment with this client Wednesday, 10 a.m. at Papados. It's the same thing. Making appointments is a prime example of how implementation intention aligns with common human behavior. So implementation intention is one way to create a new habit, according to James Clear in chapter 5 of the book Atomic Habits. The second concept that he came up with, this I feel like is really a game changer. I heard about this concept a while back. I heard about it, but I wasn't too familiar with it. but I was intrigued by it. And it's called habit stacking. Some of you may have heard of habit stacking, whether you read the book Atomic Habits or you heard it elsewhere. You may be familiar with the concept of habit stacking. Let me tell you, my people, this is really a dope concept. Implementation intention is a great concept as well, along with habit stacking. Habit stacking, I feel like, is dope on so many levels. Now, we talk about cues, right? We're going to get back to that in just a moment. But habit stacking basically is when you identify a current habit you already do each day and then stack your new habit on top of that. Isn't that dope? It is really, really dope. I love this. When I was reading about this habit stacking, I feel like this is truly a game changer. Now, in regards to implementation intention, we talked about the cues. The cues is time and location. But the cues for habit stacking are other habits. You feel me? So this is how it works. For example, if you have a desire to work out more, be active, you can apply the habit stacking concept to that. So for example, and I mentioned to you during my habit scorecard that I was proud of myself because working out, being active is actually a part of my routine. It's really a habit. And how I did that, unknowingly at the time, I used the habit stacking method. I used the habit stacking concept. So one of my habits, of course, for many of us is waking up in the morning. And at that point, I decided to myself, I wanted to work out more. I wanted to be more active. I wanted to do it on a consistent basis. I wanted to make a habit. So what I did was I implemented the habit stacking routine where I made it non-negotiable, basically. Pretty much when I wake up in the morning. When I wake up in the morning, I'm going to work out. No excuses. Non-negotiable. One of my habits is waking up. And then on top of that, I added working out. Even with my morning stretch routine, before I started doing my morning stretch routine, I started working out first. I started working on working out. I started working on my cardio and my strength training. I started putting that as a habit, making that as a habit. And then later on, I realized that the importance of stretching. Stretching is very important. And I wanted to implement that into my daily routine. I wanted to make that a habit as well. So what I did was I did another habit stacking. So I was already waking up, which is a habit. Praise God for that, waking up. And then I was working out. And then I was thinking, how can I implement stretching into my daily routine? And I went ahead and I made it into a morning routine where I would stretch first. I would do my morning stretch first, and then I would work out. So I would wake up, I do my morning stretch, and then I work out. So you can stack multiple habits. It don't necessarily have to be 1-2 habits that you can stack, but you can also stack more than 2 habits on top of each other. So with that, waking up, my morning stretch, and working out. Those are 3 habits. Waking up, a habit that I was already doing that's automatic and unconscious. Working out, which I was already doing. I was working that into my morning routine, and then I just added the morning stretching in between. Habit stacking. That's how it works. And along with habit stacking, that aligns with common human behavior as well. I mentioned how implementation intention aligns with human behavior. Habit stacking does as well. Think about how that works. Let's take, for example, if you buy a house, right? You bought a house, you closed on the house, and now it's time for you to get some furniture. It's time for you to get some appliances. It's time to put some decor up in that joint. Habit stacking, it's the same thing. It's the same concept. Once you buy that new house and you put those things in there, It's the same concept. It's human behavior, habit stacking, implementation, intention. Two dope ways to create new habits. Peace and blessings to you as you continue your journey. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about implementation, intention, and habit stacking, and how you can apply that to your life, to your journey. And again, don't forget to let me know if you did a habit scorecard. Again, don't hesitate. Feel free to let me know. Leave a comment below as to what you received from doing your habit scorecard. What did you learn from it? What do you plan on doing going forward in regards to your habit scorecard? And along with that, let me know what you think about this, the implementation, intention, and habit stacking. Do you plan on utilizing at least one of these concepts in regards to you creating your new habits? Let me know. Once again, feel free to leave a comment below. I am Reggie B, aka the Growth Advocate, and I appreciate you all tuning into this episode of the Growth Times Infinity podcast. And until the next time, keep growing and keep going.